The meeting of the Atlantic County Board of Commissioners is called to order. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Atlantic County Board of Commissioners was provided in the following manner. Published in the Press of Atlantic City and mailed to the Hamilton Gazette, and has been posted on the bulletin boards in the county office building in Atlantic City, the Stillwater building in Northfield, and the county clerk's office in Mays Landing. At this time, could we have a moment of silence for Robert Hamilton from Mays Landing?
Yeah, if we could just bow our heads. Bobby Hamilton, for anybody who knew him, was a 50-year plus life member of the Mays Landing Fire Department, former chief, member of the dive team up until last week, and a member of our EMT rescue squad in Hamilton Township. Just hugely dedicated public servant in Hamilton Township, Mays Landing. He often joked that the township was named after him, or it should be. He also joked that all the fire trucks were dedicated to him because his name was on all of them. But passed away suddenly last week, and had services yesterday. They were beautiful, and just a huge loss for the community of not only Hamilton Township, but our whole county in terms of all of the first responder and public services that he provided us. So if we could just give a moment of silence.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
We have an opening prayer?
Yes. Lead us, O God, that we may be leaders of our community and continue to guide us in the decisions we make for the service of others. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right, please face the flag. Knock it over again. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. All right, roll call, please.
Chairman Commissioner Corsi is attending virtually today.
All right.
Bertino?
Here.
Burns?
Here.
Corsi?
Present.
Gatto?
Here.
Kern?
Here.
Parker?
Present.
Risley?
Here.
Ruffio?
Here.
Dees?
Here. Commissioners have had an opportunity to review the minutes from February 18th, 2025. I will now entertain a motion to adopt the February 18th minutes as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Bertino?
Here.
Burns?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Ruffio?
Yes.
Dees?
Yes. Anyone attending in person or who would like to speak regarding an agenda item or add a public comment, please come to the podium, speak into the microphone, state your name and the town where you reside. You'll be provided up to 3 minutes to speak. If you're attending virtually and would like to speak, please raise your hand during the agenda item or public comment at the end. I will call upon your name and a request to unmute will be sent. Please state your name and the town you reside. You'll be provided up to 3 minutes to speak. And at this time, we have an Atlantic County opioid settlement presentation by Brian Wilson and Sharon Rogers from Atlantic County Substance Abuse Services.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Brian Wilson. I'm the Director of Addiction Services, and this is Sharon Rogers. She's our opioid settlement coordinator. So today we were asked to come out and give you a overview of the opiate settlement funding. So I'm going to go to the next slide. All right. So I like to start off just by kind of painting a picture for you of the opiate epidemic here in Atlantic County, and then we'll look at the state and then look at the country as a whole. So in this top row, I know it's a little hard to see, but this is looking at our suspected overdose deaths from 2013 through 2023. This is specifically Atlantic County we're looking at. You can see our opioid overdoses more than doubled from 13 moving into 2017 and onward. And then we hit an all-time high in 2022 with over 255 suspected overdose deaths. The next row is our Narcan deployments. That's from our first responders only. Our police, fire, EMTs, they weren't required to start carrying Narcan until around 2015, and there was a lot of obstacles, logistical obstacles around that. Those numbers also more than doubled moving into 2017 and onward. And again, in 2022, we hit an all-time high with a little over 1,031 Narcan deployments. Bottom row, we're looking at opioid prescriptions dispensed. You can see in 2013, we had a little north of 240,000. And then we hit an all-time high in 2015 with a little over 260,000. From 2015 onward, our opioid prescriptions, not only in Atlantic County, but across the state and the nation, those numbers have come down tremendously since that time in 2015. Because of the awareness program surrounding it, like the opioid awareness and Narcan training that we provide here in Atlantic County, but also the implementation of the prescription drug monitoring program, also known as PDMP, that requires puts more restrictions on the doctors and the pharmacies and helps them to monitor those that are receiving the opioids. Next slide. So here we're looking at all 21 counties throughout the state of New Jersey. You can see Atlantic County, and this is in 2022. That's where we had our all-time high. We had a little over 255 suspected overdose deaths. That put us at rank 3 out of the 21 counties throughout the state of New Jersey. But year after year, Atlantic County ranks 1 per capita for the amount of suspected overdoses. Next slide. So here we're looking at 2 Boeing 737s. So we're just trying to paint a picture for you to really show you how impactful this opioid epidemic is. So if you know your Boeing 737, we have roughly 145 passengers per plane. If you can picture 2 of them crashing today and no survivors, right? Now picture those 2 planes fully loaded crashing every day for the next 364 days. We still wouldn't get to the amount of people we lost from opioid-related overdose deaths. In 2022, we had over 109,000 overdose deaths throughout the country. Next slide. So here we're looking at a timeline with the opiate settlement funding here in Atlantic County. So our first opioid settlement committee was assembled. It was made up of roughly around 30 different key stakeholders throughout Atlantic County. We met back in August of 2022. At that meeting, we broke down into 5 subcommittees, which was treatment, prevention, youth services, support services, and criminal justice involved individuals. At the following meeting on September 23rd, those subcommittees presented how they would utilize funds for those categories. A decision was made to fund 2 different programs. That was the Atlantic Care Bridge program in Atlantic City, which is located in the Atlantic City Medical Center, and the Hope One project, which was run through the Atlantic County Sheriff's Department. In August of 2023, we developed the Atlantic County Opiate Task Force to be the decision-making factor of our opiate settlement funding. So we have the larger opiate settlement committee, which is kind of like the advisory portion of it, and then the task force is the decision-making factor of it. In December of 2023, we reevaluated the allocations. We met with the providers, the Atlantic Care Bridge program and Hope One, at which point we realized we needed to do a lot more legwork and really collect data and find out where the gaps were in the community and what the residents of Atlantic County really would like to see this money utilized for. So we came up with this survey. It's a short, brief survey. I believe everybody should have a copy of that, the results from that survey. And we're going to go over some of the results in a moment. After the survey was completed, we identified the next steps. And then at our task force meeting in July of this past summer, we decided to fund 3 different categories, which we're going to cover in a few minutes. Then we updated the opioid settlement committee of our decision on what we were going to be funding this past September. And then we put out an RFP process that went live in October. And then we came up with a decision in November. And then the money restarted in the beginning of this year, 2025. Next slide. So now we're going to look at some of the results from that survey. We had over 550 participants in that survey. So the first question we're looking at here. We're looking at who responded to the survey. You can see that a little over 36%, 182 participants were Atlantic County residents, followed by Atlantic County residents that were directly affected by opioid-related disorder. Next slide. Here we're looking at the most important opioid use issues facing Atlantic County today. The number one issue on there was funds for sober living, followed by insurance or funding to pay for treatment, followed by continuum of care, inadequate funding for healthcare programs and resources, and employment and job training. Next slide. Next question was, which of the following choices do you believe prevents individuals from seeking care or treatment? Number one answer on there was the financial cost. Number two was the stigma or fear of being judged. Three was sober living housing funding. Number four was continuum of care, and followed by the knowledge of services provided throughout the county. Next slide. So what are the most critical barriers facing your organization's ability to provide needed health care to your constituents? The number one thing there was funding. Number two, again, was finding qualified staff. And three was no clear plan or direction. Next slide. So if you had to rank the top 5 actions that would help to improve the delivery of services to the residents of Atlantic County, what would they be? The number one thing there was more funding for sober living, housing, and services. Number two was additional outreach and promotion of current services available. 3 was enhanced access for transportation. 4 was enhanced case management, and 5 was additional drug and alcohol rehab service centers. Next slide. In the areas of opioid usage, which of the following are the most critical needs? Most critical needs, sober living funding, housing. Number 2 was funding. Did we already do this one? Did we go backwards? Okay, so number 3 was transportation services to enhance access for treatment and recovery. 4 was employment and job training. And 5 was detox services. So that's just a small sample of our survey that we put out there. Next slide. So after we looked at the results from that survey, the task force decided to fund 3 different categories. Those categories are case management, treatment, and prevention. The case management category, we were going to award to one provider, one non-biased provider, so they didn't have treatment services there. And also a portion of that funding would be able to be utilized for other support services such as sober living and transportation. The next was treatment. That could be potentially multiple providers, and same thing for prevention, potentially funding for multiple providers. So next slide. So when we looked at the funding we had, we decided that $850,000 would sustain us over the next 15 to 20 years. So we decided on that number to fund these 3 categories. So 50% of that funding would go to treatment at $425,000, followed by case management, which was 40% at $340,000. 25% of that could be utilized for those support services such as sober living and transportation at $85,000, and then prevention at 10% for $85,000. That will make us sustainable over the next 15 to 20 years. And this will be an ever-evolving process. Sharon is doing a lot of legwork, going out, meeting with the providers, putting checks and balances in place, making sure they're doing what they intend to do with the funding, and really just meeting the people where they're at and making sure we're delivering the services that the residents of Atlantic County deserve. Next slide. That RFP review process, we did receive 9 applications. We approved 7 of them. On that RFP review committee, we had 5 Atlantic County employees. It was Sharon, myself, Amber Catano, who's our Municipal Alliance Coordinator, Corey Ritchie, who is the department head next door at Shoreview, Kara Jensen, the health officer, John McLernan, resident of Atlantic County, Dr. Devin Blackwell with the New Jersey Department of Education, Atlantic County, and David Little with the Atlantic County Prosecutor's Office. Next slide. And here I'm going to turn it over to Sharon to go over the different providers that we awarded funding to and the different services that they are providing.
Good evening. How are you? Again, my name is Sharon Rogers. Thank you for having me. This slide that we're looking at now is the breakdown of the opioid settlement funding. Case management was the first category. We had 9 RFPs come through, 2 whom were not awarded any funding, which was Jewish Family Services, which was case management, and Atlantic Prevention Resources for prevention. And the reasons those 2 were not awarded any funding, Jewish Family Services, the review committee decided that they focus solely on, noted that the focus on collaborating with Atlantic Care, which is a treatment and recovery service provider, had potential to create bias. So that's why the review committee decided not to fund them. They were looking for a non-bias. So they awarded $340,000 to Angels in Motion for case management. We're going to move forward to prevention. South Jersey AIDS Alliance, they were awarded $85,000. They are doing Narcan, harm reduction, and vending machines throughout the county. I actually have a walkthrough with them on March the 10th to see exactly what it is, how we can help them do what they said they were going to do. I'm going to move forward to treatment. Atlantic Care, FQHC, was awarded $186,660, which out of the $186,000, they're going to be utilizing $102,960 for detox and $83,700 for IOP, which is intense outpatient treatment. Another treatment provider, we actually did a walkthrough last week of Atlantic Care FQHC. They have a whole wraparound of service. Atlantic Care does great work, and I'm excited to actually, do the work that we're doing with them. Atlantic Care JBRC residential, they requested in their RFP $301,644. They were actually awarded $100,000. And that was for short term. Cura was the next provider that we awarded funding to. Cura is in Newark. We actually did a site visit with Cura. They showed us, they walked us to each one of their facilities, the medical department, in their residential. We did that last week, Brian, I believe. And they only asked for a small amount. This is the first time that they've ever been awarded any funding. They've actually applied for funding before through Chapter 51. It was never awarded, I guess, because of where they're located. But they, in their proposal, said that they would treat 3 to 5 of our Atlantic County Hispanic male residents. And they asked for $20,561.52, and they were awarded that. This was their first time. Family Empowerment, which is IOP, intensive outpatient, they were awarded $58,133.54. Maryville, which is a short-term treatment facility, they were awarded $59,644.94. And the breakdown, they will be utilizing $23,988.44 for short-term residential. Short-term could mean 3 to 5 days, 7 to 10 days. It's based on the individual. And detox, $35,656.50. Next slide, please. This is a breakdown of all the services that Angels in Motions provide. They provide so much more. We actually did several site visits for them. They're local. She has a hub right here on off of Main Street on Glendale Avenue. She provides a wraparound of service. She has peer recovery specialists that work with her. She has case managers. The first time she's been able to employ 3 employees utilizing this opioid settlement funding. She does street outreach quite often, which I've attended several of them, and I'll be doing one tomorrow. Connection to treatment, housing, sober living, transportation, employment, healthcare. Actually, in the building right here on Glendale Avenue, she has a provider that works closely with her if they're uninsured. Just can't get to a doctor. He actually sees, her, I'm gonna say consumers, until they can get insured. She does clothing, toiletries, food, and she does a whole lot more. That's just, we summed it up for you. Next slide. South Jersey AIDS Alliance. They were awarded the $85,000 for prevention. They do harm reduction. They're going to be doing harm reduction vending machines. When we do the site visit on March the 10th, we'll see where they've gotten with that so far. Narcan, testing strips for fentanyl, xylazine, and benzodiazepine. Treatment resource guides, information, harm reduction, education. They were actually one of the only proposals who solely focused on reducing the impact of opioid-related overdoses. Next slide, please. John Brooks Recovery Center, they requested 300, and this is residential. They requested $301,644. The RFP review committee awarded them $100,000. The reason at that time the decision was made was because they received John Brooks Treatment was established and operated already, in operation already, and the amount requested was above average for an established program. And their RFP solely focused on salary at the time that the decision was made, which was 60%, along with materials and a whole lot of other things that was in the RFP. So they were awarded the $100,000. Family Empowerment, they requested $425,000. They asked for the whole amount. The RFP review committee believed that it was excessive and that they were awarded $58,133.54. They believe that an additional IOP, intensive outpatient provider, would be beneficial for all. Pure Inc., again, they were awarded to $20,561.52 for short-term residential. Let me go back to that. When we went to the site visit in Newark last week, they also said they're going to be opening up a female residential facility. So they said they'll keep us posted on that. Maryville was awarded $59,133.44 for short-term. $23,988.44 will be utilized for that'll be for short-term residential, and for detox, $35,656.50. Atlantic Care FQHC, they requested in their RFP $186,660. They were granted that amount. $83,700 will be for intensive outpatient services along with assessments, and $102,960 will be for detox. And in their RFP, they stated that they would service 61 people. And that is it for my presentation. Is there any questions?
Yeah, Commissioner Getta.
Yeah, I have a couple questions. First of all, great presentation. I'm really glad that we're making this visible and transparent to our residents, especially that the video will be on YouTube for people to watch us. I think we've all gotten questions through the years of the opioid settlement of like, what are you doing, right? So I think this is such a great outline of that. Sounds like you guys were really thoughtful in terms of where the money would go, how it would get used. And I think you kind of answered one of my questions, but just to make sure, I know a number of these vendors we use regularly here at the county, and for some of these services that we already provide. So it sounds like we're kind of enhancing some things that they would normally do for us rather than just shifting newly available funds to pay for what they would normally do for us. Is that an accurate assessment?
That's
It's
an
kind of like an
accurate
enhancement.
assessment. Yes.
Okay, great. I think that's awesome too. And I again, appreciate how thoughtful the group was in, using funds where we believe it'll make a difference. I was wondering, so it was interesting on the survey feedback, and I know 500 participants is probably a good number, but we have 275,000 residents here. Like, I wish there was more, right? But the survey feedback really seemed to hone in on sober living needs and transportation support. It's interesting that in the Angels in Motion Award, only 25% of that, or I think it was 85,000, is going to go to those two things. Do we see other fund? Is that because we really can't kind of control a sober living environment or transportation, or just what's the thought process there for?
Yeah,
for
so
that?
more specific, that's a great question. Angels in Motion receives other funding through Chapter 51 and
Right.
through our innovations grant. So with those funding, they're able to help with the sober living and the transportation and other support services. Here, this year, 2025 is really like a trial and error.
Okay.
It's a really like a test period for all of them. It's like a make it or break it. Those numbers are going to be flexible moving into next calendar year. So if we see that the 85,000 is exhausted by June, then we're going to readdress that and adjust those amounts.
Okay.
Sober living has been very, contentious. Like there's a lot of stuff that's surrounding that, but it does serve a need for those that
Absolutely, yeah.
are maintaining that level of sobriety.
Yeah.
And we've heard it over and over again, not just through the survey, but through our county comprehensive plan that we do every 4 years.
Mhm.
It was something that was very much at the forefront that we needed to address. So we thought this was a great way to address it. Angels in Motion also is kind of like the hub for this whole
Yeah.
opioid settlement. They are the case managers. They're working very closely with all the other providers that we spoke of, and then some.
Yeah.
They're
They're a great
boot-
organization.
Yeah, they're boots on the ground. They're meeting people where they're at. They're providing them with harm reduction, Narcan, the test strips, et cetera, along with all the other basic needs that people that are in active addiction need.
Yeah.
Housing, clothing, food, et
Oh, yeah.
cetera. So.
Mhm. Yeah, and then just two more. Sorry, Sharon. So on that note, in terms of the street outreach, I was just wondering, is that partnered and connected with the work that our county prosecutor's doing in terms of going out there and getting under the boardwalk in some cases? Is that?
So I know she has worked with
Okay.
Prosecutor Reynolds, but they are boots on the ground in hot spots throughout Atlantic County,
Mhm.
more specifically Atlantic City and Pleasantville, but they're in Egg Harbor City and they're throughout the county, but they are boots on the ground. They are meeting people in the alleys in Atlantic City, under the boardwalk, you name it, they're there.
Mhm.
If you go out and talk to the population that is, impacted by addiction, they're going to know who Angels in Motion is.
Yeah.
They know that's where they're going for assistance, for help, for guidance.
Okay. And then just in terms of getting info out there, I think that's one of the biggest parts of our job as elected officials, is often just educating people on what services we have available as a county, or even on the municipal or state level. What services are available out there and how we can get people connected to them. And I know we all do that in probably most every conversation we have with a constituent every day. Is there anything else that we could be doing to support you all, or just, again, the programs we have here at the county to help get any special word out, and letting people know what's available?
Yeah, so we have a ton of resources
Mhm.
that we can absolutely share with you guys. We have updated the website, so there is a portion
Great.
of the website that's currently addressing how we're utilizing the funds with the opiate settlement, where the funds have gone. We're very much about being very transparent with the community, because that's really important. When this first got off and running, there was a lot of questions from the community. So it's important to listen to them and then to respond to them. So they identified the gaps, and we're answering them now with the stuff that we've implemented. And Sharon is doing a tremendous job getting out into the community.
Yeah.
That's one of our biggest objectives this year in the addiction service unit, is just to be more present in the community and be out there. So Sharon's tagging along with Angels in Motion, along with a number of other organizations working on the street and being boots on the ground, meeting people where they're at. So they're seeing us out there. They're seeing the Atlantic County seal. They're seeing that Atlantic County is stepping up and doing what we need to do.
I can't wait to see those numbers go down in the next 5 years.
Yes,
That's
yes.
so-
And we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
So since 22, we've reduced our overdose rates by over 100 individuals, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So
Great work. Thank you again.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Chairman.
Thank you.
Of course. Any other commissioner questions?
Just-
Commissioner Bertina?
Thank you. Just briefly, I think the funding you guys are providing, of course, is for this first year of the process is what this is. Have you guys had the chance, and it's probably early anyway, to set up criteria on what you want to look at as benchmarks to see that the vendors that providing the services at the end of the year? Is there some guidelines or some things you have, or is that just in motion?
it's in motion. We're trying to develop that. We're trying to really be, we're working very closely with the providers to see what they can give us back, to see what their, our idea is to have them come and present to the task force, to the opiate settlement committee, because we want everybody to be transparent. We want the committee and the task force to understand what our providers are doing, what they're delivering, the numbers of people they're reaching, and really the success, the continuum of care. Like, are they maintaining that sustained sobriety? It's one thing to put somebody into treatment and then to discharge them and then forget about them. But the key point here, where we're going to make a difference, is really following them through the recovery process. And that's a long-term process. So having that case management team in place to really hold their hands and coax them and get them to where they need to be is going to be key in making a change here.
We've also implemented a budget tracker, and each provider has received the budget tracker. So, and it's broke down into quarters, but I also am in contact with them since the beginning of the January when they received it. So they call us quite often
Yeah, and
to ask questions. Am I doing it right? Am I supposed to put this on the budget tracker? Do this go on the county, on the standard invoice? So they've been asking questions, and it's trial and error, like he said, and we've been trying to just do some checks and balances
Yeah, good.
to make sure that they're
And
utilizing the
we've
funds.
implemented that with the Chapter 51 funding,
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
if we have a provider and August comes around, we're more than halfway through the calendar year, and we see that provider hasn't utilized funds, we can approach them to see what the issue is, try to help them. And if there's no solving it, if they're unable to use those funds, then we can reallocate it. So that way we're not sending a dime back to the state.
Yeah.
We're making sure every penny is utilized.
And you often bounce that in Lakota, that group.
Absolutely.
They often
Yeah.
take a look at that. I'm sure they're going to be looking
Yeah.
at this as well. Yeah. Great.
Commissioner questions? Brian and Sharon, I apologize if I mispronounced your name in the
No,
beginning.
you're fine.
I
Thank you.
usually, as a teacher, I usually apologize in advance. Sorry. I just have one question. I don't know if I missed it, but is there any mental health counseling being provided to some of the, I guess, clients?
So most of the providers, the treatment providers, are co-occurring, which they offer mental health services along with, substance abuse services.
Okay.
And Angels in
Maryville.
Motion is working closely with the client.
Those
So if they
providers.
need
Mhm.
something that's more intense for mental health, they have the resources to direct them to those services. And it's something we are definitely closely monitoring, especially with the youth in the schools.
Right.
We know that mental health is a huge issue in the schools, along with substance use. So
Mhm.
we're really monitoring that to see how that unfolds. And if we absolutely see a need for this funding to go to the schools, we will open that up in the our plan is to open it up in the RFP process.
Fantastic. I have a follow up too. And you mentioned when I guess clients are discharged, where do they go? So like, all right, your money's up. Good luck. Are they told where they can go to continue to receive assistance or just moral support?
So the goal here with the Angels in Motion is that they will be working very closely with the treatment provider that discharges them and walks them through where they can get continued support and services, et cetera, whatever that is.
Right, sure.
Whether it's
Yeah.
writing a resume for a job
Right.
or getting them, connected with the appropriate, whatever it may be, support groups, NA, AA, et cetera.
And each one of the providers that were awarded funding, Maryville, Atlanticare, JBRC, each one of those providers, they do continuum of care. So on day one, they meet with the client, they see what their need is, and they base it off of that, whether they need outpatient, long-term treatment, sober living, whatever the client's need is, they do that on day one. Most of the providers do. And then Susan, she picks up the pieces from when they get out of treatment.
Yeah, and remember that,
Yeah.
again, this is like an enhancement of services
Right.
that other services that we provide here already, and some of that is mental health
Right.
services, so, yeah.
So, fantastic. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. And if there are no other comments, I appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for all that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any of the commissioners have an opportunity, I had the opportunity to have a tour of the facility in Atlantic City, the FHQC, did I say that right?
Yeah,
FHQC. In the late afternoon, when a lot of the patients are coming in. They know that they're there. They camp out across the street.
Mhm.
And I was there as they were coming in. I said, I'll leave. No, I don't mind. And they said, no, we want you to see what's going on here, where the funding is going. We have the opportunity to, a friend of mine is a director over there. We all know people over at Atlanticare.
Yeah.
But thank you for all you
No,
do. I
thank you.
see where your funding is going, and
Thank you.
thank you.
And ditto what you said about FQHC. They are phenomenal. They go above and beyond. They're funded through Chapter 51 and through opiate settlement. So we're working very closely with them. We just took a tour last week, actually, a whole behind the scenes tour. So it's good stuff.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
You too.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you. Okay, next we'll move on to resolutions. Resolution 120.
Introduction of the 2025 Atlantic County Budget, first reading.
So move.
Second.
Been seconded. Are there any commissioner comments?
I'd like to make a couple comments
Right.
about the budget.
Commissioner Risley?
We have been informed right along the way for many meetings about this current budget and talking about each line item in great detail. And I believe that this is a good budget and that administration has done about the best they can do at this point from what we know. And it looks like about a 2% plus reduction in our tax rate, which is always good. We all know the challenges of government today, the health insurance being out of control. And we're under cap and we're ready to go for a successful budget for 2025. And we've always maintained utilizing only 50% of our surplus into the next year's budget, which has been a staple of this government for decades. It's been a great staple of this government, and that's why this government runs very evenly and consistently over the years. And that's the key word, I think, is consistency. Atlantic County budget, and the way it's managed over the years has been very consistent. Maintain our AA bond rating. And I think that we've done about the best we can do at this time. So I certainly would encourage to vote an adoption and go forward with the funding for our county for this year.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. I know the Budget Committee has had a lot of input and a lot of meetings on this as well. Are there any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Corsi, is he? It's good.
No
Just wanted
comment.
to double. All right, I didn't want to forget about you, Aaron.
I appreciate
all right,
that.
so this is first reading. There's no public comment at this time. Sarah, can you please call the roll?
Bertino,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Corsi,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
Ruffio,
Yes.
Days.
Yes. Resolution 121.
Atlantic County Public Health Agency Annual Budget Notice 2025, first reading.
Move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any commissioner comments? Again, since this is first reading, there'll be no public comment at this time. Please call the roll.
Bertino,
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Coursey,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
Ruffio.
Yes.
Dees.
Yes. Resolution 122.
Atlantic County Library Annual Budget Notice 2025, first reading.
Any commissioner comments? Again, this is a first reading, so there's no comment, no public comment at this time. Please call the roll.
I think we have to make a motion.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't jumping ahead, sorry. Jumped ahead.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Now, are there any commissioner comments? And still no public comment at this time since it's a first reading. Please call the roll.
Bertino,
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Coursey,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
Ruffio.
Yes.
Dees.
Yes, I saw Ken's head spin around there. I was like, caught me. Resolution 123.
Calendar year 2025 resolution authorizing county entity to exceed the county entity budget request cap, Public Law 2015, Chapter 249.
Move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any commissioner comments? Any comments from the public? Please call the roll.
Bertino,
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Coursey,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
Ruffio.
Yes.
Dees.
Yes. Resolution 124.
Resolution to exceed the county budget appropriation limits and to establish a 2025 cap bank, NJSA 40A:4-45.14, first reading.
Second.
I moved and seconded. Any commissioner comments? All right, hearing none. This is the first reading, so no public comment at the time. Please call the roll.
Bertino,
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Coursey,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
Ruffio.
Yes.
Dees.
Yes. Resolution 125.
Resolution adopting the tax levy cap to be applied to the 2025 county budget.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any commissioner comments?
Mr. Chair, I think
Yes.
it's just important to note for the public that these are all very standard steps in the budget process. So just wanted to highlight that.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Are there any comments from the public? All right, please call the roll.
Bertino,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Coursey,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
Ruffio.
Yes.
Dees.
Yes. Resolution 126.
Grant application and acceptance from the New Jersey State Library for the 2025 per capita state library aid funds, amount not to exceed $115,000.
Second.
Any commissioner comments? Comments from the public? Please call the roll.
Bertino,
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Coursey,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
Ruffio.
Yes.
Dees.
Yes. Resolution 127.
Grant application and acceptance from the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs through the Local Efficiency Achievement Program to implement Eagle View, an updated geospatial data solution, funded amount $300,000, county cash match $131,070.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any commissioner comments?
Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Risley.
Yes, we also have our county tax administrator here that might like to comment.
Looks excited.
I think it's a good thing.
It is a good thing. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Terry Prendergast, County Tax Administrator. We have applied, or we are in the process of applying for the LEAP grant. The LEAP grant we're hoping to receive or be awarded would be for Eagle View. Eagle View is formerly known as pictometry, if any of you were familiar with pictometry. It's an aerial imagery program that many departments can use. Presently, it is predominantly used by every county, every municipal assessor. It is a way to look at any parcel of land from an aerial view, from an oblique view. You get all sides of the building and you get property lines as well. It's also got numerous measuring tools that they can utilize. When we originally started using a program such as this many years ago, it was also used by emergency management, engineering, planning, GIS, police and fire departments. We will have unlimited user ability for this program. So that's why we're excited to try to get this grant and move forward with the actual 5-year annual flyover, which is crucial to any changes that could be occurring in any of the parcels of land, any subdivisions that were created, et cetera. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. We're really hoping to be awarded this grant so we can continue utilizing this program and, with some assistance this time around. So it's a 5-year, as I said, annual flyover, which is very important to the municipal assessors. Any questions?
And this is a puzzle piece to the countywide.
Yes.
What are we supposed to call it? Not tax assessment, tax what?
Initiative?
You don't want us to call it countywide tax assessment, it was countywide tax what?
County-based assessing is one
County-based.
option.
Yes.
There's various things we can call it, and there's various ways we can discuss it.
But this
So
is
be
a
happy
piece of
to.
that puzzle.
Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
puzzles are good.
Tim didn't bring this up to us in our shared services committee meeting, but what is the savings we would be looking at by having a LEAP grant? Do we know?
Well, we're requesting $300,000 for a $431,000 program for and that's over 5 years.
What do the towns paying for any of this now?
The Atlantic County
Assessors.
Board of Taxation Trust Fund pays for it.
Right. And so the towns are
No,
not paying
towns,
on.
nobody
That's the
has paid
issue.
anything in this yet. No.
Well,
Never.
she said every town uses it. That, I think it's a relevant question. So we would be banking the 300,000 instead of it coming out of the trust fund. Okay, that's what I'm trying to get. Okay, thanks.
They have to get paid because the company has to get paid.
I get it. We would typically be paying the $431,000 nut. Now
The
we
trust
would,
fund.
correct. And now we would only pay 131,000 out of the trust fund.
Correct.
Got it.
That's what we're hoping
So
for.
that's what I'm trying to.
No guarantee that we're going to receive.
No,
the
no
entire
guarantees.
I get it. Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
all right, Terry, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? All right, any comments from the public? All right, please call the roll.
Bertino,
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Coursey,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
Ruffio,
Yes.
Days.
Yes. Resolution 128.
Amending Resolution Number 622, adopted on November 15, 2022, a grant agreement with the Atlantic County Sheriff's Office and the Rowan University School of Osteopathic Medicine for the Crisis Outreach and Police Engagement Program to extend the term date only, no additional cost.
Move.
Second.
Moved in second. Are there any commissioner comments? I know our sheriff is here. Did you have a comment on this or?
It's our healthcare service, good evening, everybody, sorry. This is our health service workers, and they're utilized throughout the county in crisis situations. They also assist with, believe it or not, they're doing everything from taking people to their doctor's appointments to distributing food when necessary. But we have we talk a lot about crisis in this county. We talk about the opioid drug addiction problem. We talk about the homeless problem. Really, we should be focused on the mental health problem. And one of our counselors deals directly with that. She's an intervention specialist, and she's done so with Atlantic City numerous times, intervened in court when we had problems in court, mostly in Atlantic City. And they're able to bring the crisis situation down to a level where they can receive treatment and they can receive the care they need. This has been a key endeavor of the Sheriff's Office, and the public support has been phenomenal. I think it's important that the county, and this is utilized by all agencies, all police agencies are aware it's available. We will avail it to them as we do everything else. And if I could just take 1 second, I want to thank the Board of Commissioners for all their input and support. And I want to thank Mr. Del Rosso and his staff for all their support, as we are in tough times and we have to work together in this county. And I'm constantly on the phone with Mr. Del Rosso because I always feel like if I spend $1, I have to call somebody, right? So I call him and explain that what we're doing for everything from the county jail to assist them with their problem and their loss of officer staff in hospital details, as well as prosecutor's office. We staff the hospitals for them as well. So I want everybody to understand that this sheriff's office is about shared services wherever we're directed we go, and Harbor feels as well. We were there quite a bit. So I just want to take the opportunity to thank everybody. Appreciate it. If you have any questions, I'll stand by.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
Sheriff,
Jared. Thank
for
you.
all you do.
Absolutely. Are there any other comments from the public? All right, please call the roll.
Bertino,
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Corsi. Gatto,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
Ruffio.
Yes.
Days.
Yes. Resolution 129.
Professional services agreement with various nurses and nurse agencies for the provision of death pronouncements in Atlantic County, amount not to exceed $80,000.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Any commissioner comments? Any comments from the public? All right, please call the roll.
Bertino,
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Corsi,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
Ruffio.
Yes.
Days.
Yes. Resolution 130.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Bertino.
Thank you. For these next two resolutions, I had some concerns about, I was thinking about maybe tabling them. I reached out to Jerry because my concern was there were professional service agreements awarded, and it didn't seem like it went through the normal RFP bid process. So I asked Jerry to maybe, if he can, Jerry, let's explain to the commissioners before we discuss these two issues, how this funding for this Brooks Act takes place and why we're doing these particular ones that way.
So just before Doug DeMayo is going to explain the Brooks Act, the big issue is they both went through an RFP. I think there were 7 respondents in first one, 130, and there were 5 responding agencies in 131. And they both are being federally funded. And for professionals, they have a thing called Brooks Act, which we're all required to follow. So Doug, you there? Why don't you explain that Brooks Act?
Sure. As Jerry said, these both of these projects are federally funded through the Federal Highway Administration. And since they are professional services, we do have to follow the Brooks Act. The way the Brooks Act works is we put out a RFP basically just for their, experience and qualifications. We then receive all the proposals and we assemble a committee. In this case, we use 4 reviewers. They reviewed all of the proposals, split up between the 2 projects. So we had the California Avenue, I believe it was actually 6 proposals. They all did their own independent evaluations, each of the 4 reviewers, and then they had a meeting afterwards where they ranked. They provided the rankings of the proposals, and then they came up with an average ranking for each firm. And then at that point, you basically have to go with the number 1 ranked firm, which in the case of Resolution 130 was traffic planning and design. Once you have the number 1 ranked firm, you then go back to them and ask them for a cost proposal. Now, when you have that cost proposal, you actually have to do your own estimate for what you expect it to cost. And then when that cost proposal comes in, you compare it to your estimate and you negotiate and get them as close as you can to your estimate. If you cannot do that, then you go to number 2 and go through that process again. In this case, we were able to negotiate a fair price for California Avenue with traffic planning and design. And a similar thing happened for Resolution 131, which is for Ohio Avenue. In that case, it was Environmental Resources, Inc. And they were ranked number 1. And we, like I said, we went through that same process there and negotiated the almost $91,000 contract for that one.
Again, hey, Doug, Is this strictly for highway funding projects only?
No, it's, I think for, most federal projects that use basically engineers and architects.
So it's not something new. You've been doing this
Yes.
all along.
Yeah, yeah, just for the federally funded ones.
Okay.
Commissioner Parker?
Mr. Chair, through you to Jerry or to Doug, whomever can ask, just a question. I know we continue to, since I've been on the commissioner board, we continue to try to have, when we do these RFPs, we try to consider Atlantic County contractors. Is there anything in the questioning that ranks these companies that would rank an Atlantic County company over, say, someone that's outside of our county?
Actually,
I'm just saying-
for,
Well, hold on, just before you do that, so that, we respond, we have a purchasing agent that would probably want to, before Doug goes in, or so, before you say anything, look, Palma, you're on, correct?
Yes, yes, I am.
So, did you hear the question that Commissioner Parker asked? Is there
Yes, I
any-
did.
Okay, would you weigh in on that for a minute before Doug responds?
Federally funded projects, there is a different ranking system, but as far as most of the projects, how they're funded, purchasing statutes, we can't limit contracts to just Atlantic County contracts because the statutes tell us that it has to be an open and fair. We can work with whatever, we can write our specifications to the best of the ability to the vendor that provides the best service. But purchasing law basically says that, no, I can't say that they have to be an Atlantic County vendor.
We give extra credit for being a Atlantic County vendor.
In a bid situation, we cannot. It's a lowest responsive bidder. In an RFP situation, because of the federal funding, there is a ranking system which engineering can speak to. There is a ranking system, but it still has to be approved by the state, the ranking system. And we can't say you have to be a local vendor can be one of the options, one of the ranks, but it can't be a big percentage.
So it can factor in to give them, say, a nod over another company. So if it's a tie, we could come back. We could say that the Atlantic County vendor is going to get it based on that as a tiebreaker.
No.
Is that what I heard?
No, it can have a ranking in how they can best serve the county.
Gotcha.
So we can't say you have to have an Atlantic County presence unless an Atlantic County presence is directly related to the service that's being provided.
Thank you.
So Doug, why don't you go now, we following up on that, so what?
right, there's actually other federal regulations, and it's specifically under federal highway that does not allow us to basically say, we have to be open. We even outside the state is what the one regulation does. So we basically do not look at their locality in our ranking system.
Thank you both.
And Doug, one other question. When you say the state has to approve it, what is it you're sending to the state to approve? Your ranking list?
Yes, we do send them the ranking list. We send them our RFP. I believe that's what we send them. The proposals, the RFP that we use to, solicit the proposals and our ranking of the proposals.
All right, and that goes to who at the state? DOT?
DOT local aid.
Local aid Cherry Hill?
Yes.
Okay.
Are there any other commissioner questions, comments? Commissioner Risley?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, there was some discussion about the location of this particular company, though, on number 130. Resolution 130. Have we used this company before?
Yes. Why don't you go through like, the projects that, I think you're on one of them now, right? But you've used them in the past, correct?
Yes, we've used them on a federal project a couple of years ago. That was I believe, the first time we used them. It was Ocean Heights section 4 and 5, which was from Ocean Heights to, English Creek to Mays Landing, Summers Point Road. And then we're currently using them on Greenbank Road project.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner questions, comments? Jerry, I guess to Doug, I just have a question. So I know there were 7 RFPs for this one, and Doug, you said that one of the ranking criteria cannot be their location, or we choose not to do that.
No, we can't.
There's something in, I believe it's the Code of Federal Regulations 600. I forget the exact section, but it's under federal highway that they've actually made it a little, they've gone a little beyond what the Brooks Act states. And one of the things is they stated that we can't consider location.
Okay. So my other question though about the location is when I look up this because I wasn't familiar with this company at all. They have 5 addresses listed in New Jersey, and not one of them is in Glassboro.
Well, the one, I went through this with Palmer. She can give it, I can give it to you myself, but Palmer can go through the address. It's 105 Marketplace in Glassboro, Suite 9, Office 3. And the resident engineer there is Anthony Doherty. And they have a phone number, and I guess, are you ever forced to have to call them at all, Doug, or does Jerry have to call them on any issues? Has he ever had a problem reaching this company?
No, he's worked with them. He hasn't had any problems working with them and getting in contact with them.
Okay. Yeah, and I was just curious. There's no Glassboro address or contact information on their website. Okay.
Did you find the Pottstown, Pennsylvania address?
I looked in New Jersey because it was Glassboro, so I see Freehold, Lakewood, Lawrenceville, Runnymede. Okay.
They probably do the same thing a lot of companies out of state do. They have an office somebody can put their head down on, and
They got their head
that's what
to put,
they
that's
use.
what they got.
Whether or not they're there.
And that, right, then like you said, that can't be
That's right.
That's not
the ranking criteria. All right. Any other commissioner questions? Anyone from the public?
First, we got
Oh, right. Sorry. I just got ahead of myself. Hold on a sec. We need a motion. I'm jumping ahead again. Sorry.
I'll motion. Put on floor for motion.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, it hasn't been read yet for one.
Jeez, okay. We jumped way ahead on that one then. All right.
I did jump.
Resolution 130, Commissioner
I
Bertino
did
jumped
jump
way.
in there.
Resolution 130.
Professional Services Agreement with
Jeez.
Traffic Planning and Design Incorporated for inspection services of California Avenue in the cities of Absecon, Pleasantville, and Egg Harbor Township, amount not to exceed $159,013.74.
All right, now there's a motion and a second. We did commissioner comments. Are there any other additional commissioner comments? Since we're way out of order. All right. Any comments from the public at this time? Senator Palestina.
Yes, thank you very much. I would just mention that somebody looked for that company at that address today, and there is no signage, there is no storefront, there is no person, and so it led us to question who is the company. And so I think that, from county standpoint, $159,000, we should at least know who the company is. And I guess there's a contact person, but that address that is listed on your resolution, as far as we can tell, there's no company there. And I apologize for missing the beginning of this, but Doug, did you mention the 7 firms that responded to an RFP, and how did you solicit those requests for proposal?
The request for proposal went through our bid express process.
Okay, do you have there the 7 companies that responded?
Senator, if you could just address it to me as the chair.
I'm sorry, Chairman.
Doug, do you have the information for the 7 responses?
Yeah, it was traffic planning and design. It was EME Associates. It was Environmental Resolution, Inc. It was Greenman Peterson, Inc. Keller Engineers, KS Engineers, and T&M Associates.
Thank you. And Chairman, did we speak about who the evaluation committee was? That was the only other question I had, is who was actually the evaluation committee that went through the process?
Yeah, I know you said there was a 4-member committee.
Ask Doug, they can tell.
Yeah,
It's
Um,
in-house planning.
yeah, it was all in-house people. I know John Musto and our construction manager, Jerry McBrayer. I'm not sure who they used for the other two reviewers, because they're shown on this chart that I'm looking at is just reviewer 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So I would
Right.
have to find that out.
so thank you, Doug.
If we can follow up with through you, Mr. Chairman, in the future, just to get some of the answers to those questions. The only other thing I'd like to mention is we would like to get a little more detail on this issue about not being able to use local firms or Atlantic County firms. Like I said, this is a storefront. There is nobody there. Nobody knows where this company is traveling from to do this inspection. And we don't know what the cost is for this company to travel from wherever they're traveling from. And so I think that, we've heard a lot of talking points about it, this being the second poorest county in the state. Everybody's heard that over the last few months. We want to keep being the second poorest county in the state, keep sending money to Gloucester and Camden County. And in this case, we don't even know where we're sending it to. Pottstown, Pennsylvania? We got to figure out something a little bit better than this. So thank you for your time, and hopefully after this we'll be able to get some more information. I got 2 seconds. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey,
Greg.
Yeah.
Doug. Hey, Doug.
Yes.
So, the senator wasn't here when you said this. So, what was the estimate that you guys came up with from the engineering, before you discussed it with the number one ranked in the
Yeah, I would have to check with John Musto, but he usually prepares an estimate on what he believes, the inspection to cost. They know how long the project's going to take. They consider how many hours they expect the inspector to be on site, how many hours they believe the or the office people, like the resident engineer, how many hours they'll use to review submittals, shop drawings, that type of thing.
So you guys all have what the plan was. 159. We'll give you what the estimate is. I'll respond to these questions, and I'll give you what the estimate was versus what they negotiated. Okay, so you have an idea. So if we're the poorest, we'll know whether or not the estimate was close to what was actually negotiated. Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, Commissioner Bertino.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Jerry, through you. We got a Bridges and Roads meeting this week. Let's get all this information, bring it to the Bridges and Roads Committee, who does the evaluation process, who checks all this list, all the criteria, so we can provide it for the commissioners, for us to get a little more involved and understand the process
And then
internally.
the other issue that, you listen, the reason why I had the purchasing agent go first, so it takes it out of engineering's hand. Engineering has no say in
Yep.
typically. What they do have a say in is obviously meeting the federal requirements. So if the state requirements meet the federal requirements, that means the state would have to then take a stand to put in their purchasing requirements, that we can make a local provider have I guess, additional advantage, additional points.
Should be
whatever.
points, yeah.
That would be a
Some kind
state
of
issue,
issue,
so I would, that's why I had Palma go first, because she's following the state requirements.
Thank you. And and Greg, Doug mentioned the Brooks Act, which is a federal
That's a federal
legislation.
requirement,
Right, okay. All right, just to be clear.
I want to belabor, Mr. Chairman, I'll
Right,
talk
yeah.
to Jerry offline about some of those topics. I'm just curious, was the construction contract awarded?
Oh, yes,
Okay, and what is that amount?
Doug,
So ch-
who got the California Avenue construction?
That was Arawak.
And what was the amount?
What's that?
The amount of that contract that was awarded to Arawak?
Hold on, I'll have to look that up.
Discuss this on Thursday also.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, like Commissioner Bertino said, there is a Roads and Bridges Committee meeting on Thursday. We can, if you don't get the other information today, we can come to that on Thursday and get back to you.
Thank you.
So any other commissioner comments? We did move and second it, right? We're on this one
Yes.
already?
You were on the public.
Okay, so we're on public comments. Anybody else from the public?
Well, I actually do have.
Yes, Commissioner Parker.
Since we have our state senator here and we're talking about, it would have to go to the state to make the change. Senator Palestina, maybe that's something that, and I don't know, maybe that's something that your office can look into having changed, because we would like to, as we've always been.
Points, yeah.
Of course.
We have always, since I've been on this board, we have always tried to do as much, local as we could, support as much local businesses, as many local businesses as we could. And so if the state is keeping us from doing that, then maybe that's something that you can look at on your end from the state side to have change, so that can open up so that we could maybe give some extra credit, for lack of a better term, to a local business. If there's a tie, which I stated earlier before you came in, the question I asked was, if there's a tie, could local be a tiebreaker? And the answer was no. So
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and you're absolutely right, Commissioner, and we will take a look at that. That's why, so we'll get some more detail on this process. But the thing that is, like, if one of you were a part of the review committee, like if Commissioner Bertino were part of the review committee, you're gonna know that T&M and CME and some of these other companies that were mentioned have local offices, and then you're going to know that the travel time for some of these local offices is going to be less to inspect California Avenue in Absecon. So with that list of 7 that was mentioned, right off the top, that some of them have Atlantic County offices, have Atlantic County employees, and are going to contribute to the Atlantic County economy. And I am, it concerns me even more when it's a storefront and we don't even know where the money is going to go and what restaurants these employees are going to be going to, and where this money is going to end up. And so, that's what I would say in looking at the evaluation process locally. While maybe it can't be like a criteria, the reviewers know which companies are local and which ones are not.
You're right. Again, with different funding, sources, look at the funding, we can have, obviously different
Yeah,
directions and directives on that as well.
we definitely need state purchasing rules looked at. I mean, it's been a problem for years, for sure.
All right, and any other comments from the public? Call the roll.
Well, Mr. Chairman, was
Yes,
there a
Commissioner Risley.
thought to tabling this?
No,
I know Commissioner Bertino
No,
mentioned that. I don't
not
think it was
table.
ever.
they'll need to at this point. We
Well,
want to
good.
let us get our information back. Brooks Act is funding stuff we've been doing for years.
I know.
But just to familiarize ourselves, so I'm clear on it, and that's what we'll do in committee. I don't want to hold up any projects that are in the works. I don't want to add 3 more, 4. I don't want to get into all that for now. Plus, we're not going to be able to change the criteria on the funding
I
anyway.
understand.
All right. Any other commissioner comments? All right, I guess Tara, call the roll.
Bertino,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Corsi, Gatto,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Parker,
yes.
Risley,
Yes.
Ruffio,
Yes.
Days.
Yes. Resolution 131.
Professional services agreement with Environmental Resolutions Incorporated to provide inspection services for Ohio Avenue in the city of Absecon, amount not to exceed $90,896.42.
Move.
Second.
I moved and seconded. Are there any commissioner comments on 131? Any comments from the public? I just call the roll.
Bertino,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Corsi, Gatto,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
Ruffio,
Yes.
Days.
Yes. Resolution 132.
Amending Resolution Number 690, adopted on December 21st, 2021, a professional services agreement with various consultants to provide engineering and inspection services for the 2022 dam and transportation infrastructure projects to extend the term date only, no additional cost.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any commissioner comments? Any comments from the public? All right, call the roll.
Bertino?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Corsi? Gatto?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Ruffio?
Yes.
Days.
Yes. Resolution 133.
Amending Resolution Number 16, adopted on January 16, 2024, professional services agreement with AdCom Engineering Limited Liability Company to conduct a feasibility study for a centralized fire, EMS dispatch, and 911 call center to extend the term date only, no additional cost.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any commissioner comments?
Chairman,
Commissioner Risley.
I paused. I thought you were going to make the motion for that one.
Well, I just like to comment that I'm waiting for that report very patiently. I'll be glad when we get it out. Thank you.
It's like the end of July, no, August, I guess. Any other commissioner comments? Any comments from the public? All right, please call the roll.
Bertino.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Corsi. Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
Ruffio.
Yes.
Days.
Yes, resolution 134.
Competitive contract with Triad Associates to provide grant writing services for Atlantic County, amount not to exceed $100,000.
Move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any commissioner comments? Any comments from the public? All right, please call the roll.
Bertino.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Corsi. Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
Ruffio.
Yes.
Days.
Yes. Resolution 135.
Competitive contract with Caring Incorporated and Milton and Betty Katz JCC to provide nutrition site management at various locations throughout Atlantic County, amount not to exceed $704,241.
Moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any commissioner comments? Any comments from the public? All right, please call the roll.
Bertino.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Corsi. Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
Ruffio.
Yes.
Days.
Yes. Resolution 136.
Competitive contract with Bywater Solutions to provide an integrated library software system, amount not to exceed $266,495.
Move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any commissioner comments?
Mr. Chair, through you,
Commissioner
Jerry,
Parker?
do we have anybody on from the library that could speak to the software?
No, Matt's not here.
He's not here?
No, but this is, I mean, I went through this with the budget subcommittee
Yeah.
yesterday. You know, they've had Cersei Dynex for many, many years, and you'll see that their bid is almost 3 times the amount. This Bywaters, met all the conditions, and actually, the conversation with me is he said they think the library, that this is a better product for them. So it's a 5-year, as you know, it's a 5-year contract.
Absolutely. They seem pretty excited about this software. So,
It is, it runs the library, that's actually what this is, I mean, so, but then they have the ability, you know, to do, and they've had the ability to do, if you're near the library, they have Wi-Fi, so you can actually connect, you know, from outside the library. I'm merely saying that it's 1/3 the cost. And this is very unusual for any of the agencies that we have to change the software in midstream like this.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. And there's always some, down on the ground,
Right.
there's some frustration with, usability and getting on and logging on and all those things. So there's some training that has to take place.
Right.
But as you said, it's 1/3 of the cost. But they're pretty excited about the fine, and they think that the software may even not only being more cost effective, but it may be better software.
Right, exactly.
All right, any other commissioner comments? Any comments from the public? All right, please call the roll.
Bertino.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
Ruffio.
Yes.
Days.
Yes. Resolution 137.
Change order number 2, a contract with Arawak Paving Company Incorporated for the resurfacing of Alo Street in Galloway Township. Net increase $26,693.29.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any commissioner comments? Mr. Bertino.
Mr. Chairman, through you, through Jerry, could you have Doug or you explain the change orders, please?
Oh, you're there, right? So,
Yep, I'm here. We had a couple change orders or a couple supplementary work items and some extra work on the change order. Extra work was construction signs, which was about $3,000. We had detectable warning surface. That's if you ever saw, the handicap ramps, you see the red part of the handicap ramp with the little domes on it. That's what a detectable warning surface is. That was about $1,500. And then we had had additional concrete curb, which was $4,000. Under this supplementary work, we had to switch the type of pipe we used. from concrete pipe to ductile iron pipe, which was an increase in about $17,000. And then we exceeded the quantity on the detectable warning surface by 125%, which allowed us to negotiate a new price on that. And we did that, and that was another $1,000. So the total of this change order was roughly $26,693.29.
Okay, thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? Any comments from the public? All right, please call the roll.
Fortino,
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
Ruffio,
Yes.
Days.
Yes, resolution 138.
Shared Services Agreement with Bergen County for the housing of Atlantic County juveniles at the Bergen County Juvenile Detention Center.
Moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any commissioner comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Risley.
Just by way of explanation, the rate is $450 a day, and it does not cover medical. But that's what it is.
Transportation. Any other commissioner comments? All right, any comments from the public? All right, please call the roll.
Fortino,
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
Ruffio,
Yes.
Days.
Yes, resolution 139.
Amending Resolution Number 66, adopted on February 4th, 2025, a renewal competitive contract with Atlantic Prevention Resources for a gun violence prevention program for 6th and 7th grades to correct the total amount not to exceed $85,700.
Move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any commissioner comments? Any comments from the public? All right, please call the roll.
Bertino.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
Ruffio.
Yes.
Days.
Yes, resolution 140.
Amending Resolution Number 65, adopted on February 4th, 2025, a renewal competitive contract with Jewish Family Services for the provision of a heads case management program, net increase $114,000.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any commissioner comments? Any comments from the public? All right, please call the roll.
Bertino.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
Ruffio.
Yes.
Days.
Yes, resolution 141.
Alternate method contract with Election Systems and Software for the provision of election day technical support, pre-election testing of voting machines and electronic poll books, and licenses and warranties with maintenance, amount not to exceed $587,979.
Moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any commissioner comments? Comments from the public? All right, please call the roll.
Bertino.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
Ruffio.
Yes.
Days.
Yes, resolution 142.
EUS contract with EB Employee Solutions Limited Liability Company for health reimbursement account administration through the use of the difference card and other medical benefit consultant services, amount not to exceed $600,000.
Move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any commissioner comments? Any comments from the public? All right, please call the roll.
Bertino.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
Ruffio.
Yes.
Days.
Yes, resolution 143.
Resolution authorizing the county executive to offer a plan option which includes a self-funded health reimbursement account to be administered through the use of the difference card and other medical consultant services.
Move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any commissioner comments? Any comments from the public? All right, please call the roll.
Bertino.
Abstain.
Burns.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
Ruffio.
Yes.
Days.
Yes. We're now on to appointments. I'll entertain a motion to combine and adopt resolutions 144 through 146.
So moved.
All right, moved and seconded.
Second.
Any commissioner comments? Comments from the public? All right, please call the roll.
Bertino.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
Ruffio.
Yes.
Days.
Yes, resolution 147.
Authorizing consent for a roadway solicitation event by Absecon VFW Post 9462 at the intersection of New Jersey Avenue, County Route 601 and Mill Road, County Route 651 in the city of Absecon on Saturday, May 3rd, 2025 from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any commissioner comments? Comments from the public? All right, please call the roll.
Bertino.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
Ruffio.
Yes.
Days.
Yes. All right, and that ends the written part of our agenda. We've received copies of written communication and petitions. Are there any commissioner comments at this time? Okay. Hearing none. Any reports of special committees of the board? Commissioner Parker. Distracted.
I'm not so sure this is from a committee, but I'm gonna put it in there anyway. This is from the greater, from the Great Egg Harbor Township Historic Society on the 2025 Speaker Series. Join us for a night of everything Irish. Thursday, March 6, 2025, 7 p.m. at the EHT Community Center, 5045 English Creek Avenue, Egg Harbor Township. And let's see what else is on there that I can tell you. Enjoy the talented Emerald Isle Academy of Irish dancers and sandpipers, pipes and drums of Atlantic County bagpipers. That was a mouthful. A whole lot of pipes. All right. So come on out and enjoy yourself if that is something that interests you. First, I want to say the programs that are put on by the Great Egg Harbor Historic Society over at the Rec Center are fantastic. So if you haven't had a chance to go over there, there's always some light refreshments that they serve, and you just sit and you learn about local history. It's pretty amazing stuff. So
Commissioner, what was that date again?
the date is
March 6th, is this
March
week?
6th.
Okay.
Thursday, March 6th, 7 p.m.
All right, so we'll see you dancing over there. Great.
I'll be over there doing the bagpiper.
All right.
I have a, what's it, what do you call it?
Kilt.
A kilt. There you go. I have my kilt on and you can't make fun of me.
I think we have a meeting that day. But, all right, is there any unfinished business?
Well, I had his committee report.
Yeah, Commissioner Gatto.
Yeah, we
Sorry.
did, we had a shared services committee meeting where we touched base on possible LEAP grant opportunities with regard to the train station in Mays Landing and the connection to the bike path, as well as, possible lighthouse idea to request funding. I'm not going to hold my breath, but we're going to try. We're going to try. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. The LEAP grants are due May 1st. So we are gathering some information quickly to give Tim to kind of put all that stuff together. And then not a committee report, but since Commissioner Parker's advertising an event, I'll go ahead and put a plug out there. After you get your jig on and Irish excitement out of your system, you can come celebrate with the Italians at the annual Unico Pasta Dinner on Sunday, March 23rd from 1 to, I think we're doing 5 p.m. this year in Atlantic City at the hall outside of St. Mike's Church.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I don't want
Thank you.
not to prolong the
Commissioner
meeting, but I
Parker,
just want
sure.
to I do want to put this out there. I was expecting Kim Brown to be here today. That she couldn't be here but I do want to put this because I know Commissioner Risley has been asking me forever about the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence coming up next year. And so we did receive some emails, asking what we were going to do. So I just want to ask and put out on the county side, are we planning on doing anything? Are we going to do anything as a county to commemorate that occasion?
We've been having conversations. We've had conversations.
So we're at the beginning stage of having conversations with the intention to do something. Okay, that's all I wanted to put out there. So I just didn't want Commissioner Risley to keep hounding me off the record. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I don't know. Something, right? So we're doing something.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Risley. Yes.
I would just say that I think there should be something in connection with the Battle of Chestnut Neck as well. Okay. We have that ceremony every year that the SAR puts on, the DAR, and I think that would be important to tie that into it. Just food for thought.
Absolutely.
I would love to see all the municipalities work together and the county advertise, so they hopefully we don't conflict, that we can get to as many as we can and, have a celebration that extends for, several days, it's worthwhile of its 250th anniversary. So,
Absolutely.
all right. So
Should be a fun time.
any other reports of special committees of the board? All right. Any unfinished business? Any new business? Commissioner Risley.
Yes. Now that we have our state senator here, I'm going to pick his brain a little bit.
You should have left when you had the chance.
Good. All right. I understand from what I'm reading from John Donadio that there's going to be a hearing on juvenile detention facility. Senate Law Public Safety Committee, 10 a.m. on Thursday, the 20th. Is that something that we're going to be represented by someone in the county? Mr. Fedorico, somebody?
Well, we have county prosecutor and Curtis Still, who is our youth service administrator.
All right.
They're both, and I'm not sure if anybody else
All right.
that I don't know about, but those two individuals like that.
All right. But we should be well represented then. Great. It would be great to see the state adopt some kind of rate, standard rate per day across the state. So I know some of the contracts we have go as high as $750 a day. So, and I've seen other ones at $350. So, rather than having price gouging, it certainly would behoove the state to come up with some kind of number that's levels the field here.
Yeah.
We've gotten everybody out of, we got threatened by Essex that they were going to raise their rate to $750. We moved everybody out of Essex. We have one kid left in Middlesex. They're pretty high. And they asked them to look at that kid. You have to look to see whether or not they have gang relations, whether or not
Right.
they've committed a crime against somebody else.
I know there's a lot that
You know,
goes
all
into
those
it.
issues, right?
Yeah.
If we can move the kid back, we'd move the kid back from Middlesex. We have 6 kids out right now. We have 17 kids in-house. We didn't get that kid back.
Jerry, I know before that meeting was postponed, that was one of the agenda items, I believe, that John Donati put out was talking about, that counties not killing other counties with their rates, knowing that you're stuck. You need to find a home for them, a place. Another agenda item was that kind of, I guess, looking at capping the age. How to what point are they still considered juveniles to be held in a juvenile facility? So, okay, hopefully.
They have to change the law again because
Right.
what they did was any kid who commits a crime under 18, if they get caught after they're 18 years of age and they don't have any other crimes, they're remanded back to the juvenile facility.
Right.
So some of the kids, are like 24, 25.
Right.
They're the same.
So, yeah, so that was another agenda item. So hopefully all those will be addressed in the hearing. We'll be not hearing something soon, but hopefully sooner than later. All right, any other new business? All right, hearing none. Anyone attending in person that would like to speak now with public comment, please come to the podium, speak into the microphone, state your name and the town you reside. If you're attending virtually and would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand. I will call your name and request to unmute will be sent. Please state your name and the town you reside. You'll be provided up to 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening, Commissioners. You guys able to hear me?
Yes.
Alan Rhodes from Linwood, New Jersey. Is it possible to submit the speech or the comments for a public record?
Yeah.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. Commissioner Ruffey, congratulations. Commissioner June Burns, you guys look great up there. Commissioner Parker.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. Chairman,
I make her look
congratulations. Sorry, say again.
That's right. Don't waste your time on us. Go ahead.
I know. Actually, Commissioner, I have a fellow, I'll call him a teammate here. He would like to also reserve his time for me, if that's okay. Jim, if you could unmute your mic and reserve your time to me, I appreciate it.
Hang on, wait.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so you have 3 minutes to speak at this time, and we'll entertain any other public comment after that.
Okay, all right, we'll get into it. Well, thank you for allowing me to address you guys tonight. My name is Alan Rhodes. As many of you guys know, I'm the former head coach of Stockton University's men's ice hockey team. Now proudly serve as the president of a nonprofit association called the South Jersey Ice and Athletic Center Association. Our mission is to design, build, and operate and maintain future South Jersey ice and athletic Center. I come before you this evening to discuss a matter of great importance to our community, which is the future of our ice rink, which many of you all well know about. Before I dive into the details, I first want to take a moment to sincerely express my empathy for the working class families of Atlantic County. I understand that in today's economic climate, some may view this endeavor as potentially being insensitive to the financial challenges. Sure. Thank you. That many families may be facing in the county here. Balancing the cost of living with recreational expenses is no small feat. Moreover, I recognize that in a world full of pressing concerns, the priority of ice sports may not rank at the top for everyone. However, there still is an entire community of people and of families and children who do rely on the ice rink. This entire community, these families and these children, I believe, also deserve our consideration and our support too. We'll cut to the chase. I'm here because I need your guys' help, everyone's. I would like to respectfully request your support in 3 critical ways. The first, I would suggest adopting a resolution of support for the continuation of the operation of the Skate Zone Ice Rink in Atlantic City. The second, perhaps more controversially, would be a resolution supporting the inclusion of a replacement ice rink within any Bader Field development plan and advocating for its construction in either Egg Harbor Township or Galloway or any other suitable location in Atlantic County. The third would be to explore perhaps the formation of a county committee to address this issue. I think we have an unprecedented opportunity before us. The proposed $3.4 billion Beam Enterprise Development Plan for Bader Field presents a unique opportunity and chance to integrate a replacement ice rink into this transformative project. And if we work together, I think we can accomplish this. Thank you for your consideration, and I will look forward to any questions that you may have at this time.
Mr. Rhodes, thank you for your comments. I will make sure this is shared with the other commissioners as well, so they can all have, what you had intended to say had you been given more time.
Thank you. Yeah.
I do know, so that the Dean project, though, again, I'm not completely familiar with it. All I know is what I read in the paper, and then probably not even half of what's happening with that. I believe that was an Atlantic City and Estate concern.
I'm sorry, can you ask that
I
again?
believe that was an Atlantic City and Estate project. Am I correct in that, or?
Well, we're missing the absence of our first district commissioner, Corsi, who we keep in our prayers, his family, his wife, and his children. In my opinion, perhaps it might be time for the city to owe our community an apology if this project is not going through. What they've put our community through, including myself personally, I think we're all deserved an apology. Of course, that current community is not going to be able to say that, but I certainly am in a position to do so. What is the future of it? Nobody knows.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you. I just wanted to, again, I'm going to share this with the rest of the commissioners, including Commissioner Corsi.
Yep.
On that. I just wanted clarification for, I guess, the public and the rest of the commissioners present. That's not something that's currently before the Board of Commissioners. That's something that was approved by the Board of Commissioners. I just wanted to try to clarify that. Yeah, Commissioner Risley.
Just one brief question. If it is closed, where would you go?
Chairman Risley, thank you for your question. The next closest rink is an hour away, either in Toms River, Hollydale, Voorhees, that's it, or the crossing a bridge into Philadelphia.
Okay.
There are dozens of families and children who rely on that ice rink.
It's about an hour then.
That's right.
Thank you.
Sir. May I just say one last thing here? Tomorrow at the Skate Zone, there is a charity game, which the proceeds, most importantly, are going to go to the benefit of family Jefferson Rivera, a former sergeant in the Atlantic City Police Department. These games are always a good time. A couple years ago, there was a fight between the mayor and the former council president, starting lobbies, filling out the parking lot. There's also fights on the ice. Always entertaining. Always entertaining.
That's a
But
good time.
most importantly, it supports a great cause and a great family. So tomorrow, Wednesday afternoon, starts at 1:30. There's a second game at 3:30 between the state PBA hockey team and also the Atlantic County, I believe, Guns and Hoses, firemen and police department. So great charity event, and would be great for the public to be aware of it and go out and support a great cause. Thank you for your time, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes. I appreciate it. Yes,
Yeah, and that's been
Commissioner
going
Kern.
on for quite a few years.
These
The
PBA
Guns and Hoses.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I know my, as you well know, brother-in-law was,
Yeah.
involved in a lot of that. I appreciate your passion. You've been at this and you're out there trying to, keep this in our community. My family, as you know, my sons grew up there. They played a lot of ice hockey. I think they still are. Well, at least one of them still is. The other one's playing ice hockey in Tampa. But it takes them from a young age into adulthood. So thank you again for your passion for this.
Thank you. And there's been great support from our second legislative district office. And I would like to say thank you to our second legislative district team who on January 26, 2022, after there was a petition that garnered almost 10,000 signatures in a very short time period, Senator Palestina took time out of his evening to come out and to support our community. And I know that it made the world of difference to myself. And I'm pretty sure from some documents that I have that it also made a difference to those who have the authority and the ability to make decisions there. So thank you. It's a team effort. And like I said, it's about a community. It's about families. It's about our children.
Mm-hmm.
It's the right thing to do. There's a right thing to do here. And I hope that we can come together and do the right thing for our children.
Yeah. Thank you for
Thank
your
you,
efforts
everyone.
and your comments. Thank you. I mean, like I said, again, I want to make sure that every other commissioner gets this statement as well.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner Gata.
I think, Mr. Rhodes, you kind of held up some resolutions that you had. Do you want to give it to our staff
Yes,
that they
please.
could scan it or you could email it, whatever?
I did. Made a copy for each.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. And I would be willing to serve on a committee if that's the way we want to go about this. That's fine too. I'm always here. Like I said, it's about doing the right thing. So,
Thanks.
and just a draft that does not reflect any views of any elected official in our county. This is me proposing a suggestion.
Yeah.
These are my words, not any elected official.
Yeah, and it's difficult for families. You talk about an hour away. That's a lot. That's a lot because these, especially with the hockey teams, the youth teams, they can't do that. They can't do that. It's usually during school time that these leagues are going on, and it's basically impossible for them to spend 2 hours just in travel time.
Mr. Chair, I know you reached out to some of our local elected officials as well in our towns to ask if there was a willingness or if there was some land or areas that it could possibly be moved to. Did you have any success with that?
Well, we established some communication. Commissioner Parker, as you may or may not know, I suppose I landed in some hot water with one of the town's mayors, who shall not be named. So once it became so politically toxic, that's when myself and my family made the decision maybe to perhaps lay low. And now it's been 2 years since perhaps the largest for-profit private real estate transaction in the state of New Jersey is without progress. And now what? Now what? So we're back at it. We're going to do the right thing for our families. I would think that it would be a smart suggestion to move it to a new municipality, move the next ice rink to a new municipality where working families exist. I would love to speak with any local elected officials who would be welcome to that. We have people in attendance here who might be able to help out. But that's as far as that goes. The last thing I'll say is this is, in my opinion, a nonpartisan issue. This is where we put our politics aside, a nonpartisan actor pursuing a bipartisan solution. And I understand this is a heavy lift during these economic times. I'm not insensitive to that. But I just can't accept that if we came together that we couldn't do this. I think we can do it, but it's going to take all of us.
Mr. Rhodes, thank you again.
Thank you, Commissioner
Commissioner Kern said, thank you for your passion and, your drive to kind of bring this to fruition at some point somehow. So thank you. Is there any other public comment? Senator Palestina?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a different.
I just mentioned out, I had a conversation with Congressman Van Drew in the last couple of weeks too. So he is also supportive and talking about what could be done. So there's support all the way up to the federal level. Doug, did we get that amount of the construction contract? Did I miss it?
No.
So what happened was, I think, Commissioner Burpino said, why don't we give him on Thursday, we have a meeting, we're giving him all the information, so that's what we're going to do, right? Is that what you asked?
And the bridges and roads meets this Thursday. I asked them, I want the whole process, how it's done, who does the grading, we want all that information for the commissioners to share in the committee, and then we'll release it to everybody else.
Okay, so Doug
Collecting
Dinkels,
data right
I was just
now.
curious to get a frame of reference on how much the construction was, because that usually would give you an idea how much the inspection should be. But you can provide that after Thursday, that would be appreciated. Just an update, Michelle's here, and the conversations on the Atlantic City pilot and the financial situation with Atlantic City continue. And I just wanted to be clear with everyone. Last week, I met with the Office of Legislative Services to get some more of the financial information as it relates to the city of Atlantic City, to the payment in lieu of taxes, to, the whole picture of what has occurred over the last 10 years. Interesting to me, and I don't think we really need to litigate the history, but you recall, 2015, 2016, 2017, the pilot was to save the city from bankruptcy. 21, Senator Sweeney, right at the end in lame duck, changed it to take out internet and sports, also adjusted how much each casino was going to pay, which happened right at the last minute. So I figured this time, let's start the conversations early and let's try to build consensus, which is what we are trying to do. The concern that is expressed from my colleagues and some of the people in Trenton is that what occurred with the initial pilot was that state had said 10.4%, and some of you lived this who were there. County said we want 13.5%. Governor Christie at the time said, okay, 13.5%, but we want to see what the county can do to assist. And I really think that's kind of where we are right now. You have seen us build partnerships and build relationships with Trenton. We are working actively with the State Economic Development Authority, with the front office, with the Office of Legislative Services. And Joe and I were there last week. It's interesting to me. They said, can we talk to Atlantic City and can we talk to the CRDA? And I said, of course you can talk to the CRDA. And they responded, previously we weren't allowed to. And I don't know who was, trying to prevent an open dialogue and open communication. But where we are today is that just because, and I voted against the 2021 pilot, but just because that didn't necessarily treat county taxpayers fair, there is an opportunity to redo the pilot and to treat everyone fairly if we all can build consensus with the city, with the county, with the state. There is an opportunity to do that. But I really think that all of us as elected officials really need to think about what a real partnership with the county would mean, because that is really the crux of what we're talking about. Is the city faces many challenges. We have New York gaming on the horizon. We need everyone to step up and we need to figure out what everyone can do to support this city. And so from the county perspective, what I will be talking to you about is, yes, fairness in what the allocation is, but also how can the county be a real partner and what can we really do to assist this situation? Because that's what my colleagues in Trenton are asking. What is the county doing? So I just offer that all to you. Thank you for your service. We have some time because the pilot doesn't expire until next year. And if we can build consensus, we're going to get some great things done, I think, from a financial perspective for Atlantic City. So just wanted to update you that those discussions are ongoing and they're going to continue.
Thank you, Senator. Commissioner Gatto and then Commissioner Risley.
Just very quickly, I don't know if you've seen it, Vince, but we do have a document that we prepared. I don't know if you remember, Joe, but lays out everything that Atlantic County does with Atlantic City from like a shared services perspective. I mean, and it was substantial. It was a lot. Do you remember what document?
Of the city.
I'm sure I could dig it
What
out.
happened was the city said we never do anything. for
Right,
them. So
and
there was
we-
a 4-page document.
Yes,
It was a memo
yes.
that I should.
So
send
we
to the
should
administrator.
1000% get you that. Because if it's, I mean, number one, we should get credit for that,
Mhm.
right? But yeah, is that a jumping off point for what else are you looking for?
Right.
I think we do quite a bit, but there's always room as part of a negotiation, to figure it out.
So yeah, I'll just throw out one of the discussions, and it's early on, but one of the thoughts, like something like the county gets a certain percentage plus an allocation which goes directly to the sheriff's office, for a sheriff's detail in Pacific Avenue and the boardwalk to assist. Those are the kind of things, forward thinking that we could all partner to help the city that we're kind of talking about. And so those are the conversations that need to be had. And if you have a document that lays out, what the county does, that would be incredibly helpful, because it's not just from the state, it is from other entities that ask, what is the county doing?
Yeah, because they don't know.
As part of the negotiations with the agent firm, we were asked to provide services, so we do. I mean, and so you know that we provide for senior citizens was really the intent at the time. So we provide the transportation, home delivered meals, congregate meals, outreach, and transportation. So those are the things that we provided. And that was actually, if you go into the document, the consent order, the original consent order, it lays out the services that we provide.
Right.
So there are those things, but what you're talking about is really thinking out of the box to say, what else could occur. For example, if they wanted additional help in the city, what other things could we do? They would be willing to fund it. That would be something that they should discuss with the exec.
Well, they're definitely, those discussions are going to happen. So one of the things you have seen, I'm be curious to see the documents. I wasn't in at that point, so I didn't see a lot of that. I know Meals on Wheels was talked about, but from the city perspective and building a real tourism destination, which should be a mecca for the East Coast, we got to think out of the box, and we got to figure out what can we do to partner on this stuff. And, one of the things that has happened with the financial situation in Atlantic City to avoid bankruptcy was that the diversion of the investment alternative taxes from CRDA to the city, pay down debt. That needs to go back so that we have some money there to invest at the CRDA level. And if we can do more things where more money is allocated to the county through the pilot, and we can get more money back to the CRDA for investment into the city, it's going to benefit everybody. And so those are the kind of things that we're looking at.
Sarah, one thing that should happen is what would attract people into the city? Let's face it, the big issue that's written about all the time is, if you go look at the numbers this year, by the way, if you go look at the internet gaming and the in-person gaming, they're almost identical. They're catching up. So the question is how do you get more people into the city, which would then drive them, probably to the casino? That would be a fantastic thing to do with the IAD funds, I would tell you.
Yeah, and gaming, we have to support gaming, but gaming is not going to be the answer going forward. The answer going forward, we've talked about, public safety, cleanliness, lighting, Pacific Avenue needs to be lit up. So if the county were to say, listen, we will take the lead on lighting up Pacific Avenue or something like that, and then we figure out, how do we go get the money for that? But those are the kind of things that have to happen to make Atlantic City what it really should be, to make it clean, make it safe, make it lit. And so that's really what we're talking about going forward. So happy to, talk to you about that and figure out what can be done as we move forward.
Thank you, Senator. I think Commissioner Risley.
Yeah, I had a thought. I think it's, and you're right, Senator, it's important for us to keep an open mind on all of this because it could be very creative and a great tool. In the original pilot bill, I believe there was a provision in there about doing an analysis of what the casino properties would in fact be worth. And I think we should know that for the other side of the equation to compare and contrast for the public to understand. Now, if internet gambling is not going to be included in that assessment, then that's a bad thing. So I would certainly like to see, I don't know how this is going to occur, whether the state would do it or the county would pay for it or whoever would pay for this, because obviously assessing a casino is a very unique type of property and it's got to be done right. And it wasn't done right in the past and some of the problems. So it would be great to know what the true value is of each casino property.
I think you're absolutely right about that. And we need to do that apples to apples comparison.
Exactly.
I will mention to you another thing that has come up as, I've gotten more educated on this. The fact that there is a pilot on the Atlantic City casinos The value of those, now there really is no value from a municipal perspective. They have been removed because we have the pilot. And local education funding is based partially on the wealth of the community. And so the fact that, the Office of Legislative Services said last week, half of the value has been removed from the tax rolls because of the pilot. Now the local share public education calculation is skewed because it looks like the city is worth half of what it in fact is. And so there are a lot of issues that need to be figured out as we move forward. Again, this is why we're talking about it in March, well in advance of the expiration of the pilot, because it also goes to an extension of the Municipal Stabilization Recovery Act, the diversion back, or the, back of the IATs back to the CRDA. And so there's a lot of financial discussions to be had, but that understanding of what the value of the casinos is worth is critical to the discussion. So thank you. I appreciate it,
Thank you,
everyone.
Senator,
Great to
always.
see you, and
Thank
thanks
you
for
very
everything
much
you do.
for that. Thank you. All right, any other public comment? I'm gonna entertain a motion to. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Mine isn't going to be nearly as exciting. Joe Burke, Chief of Staff for the Second Legislative District. I actually just wanted to prep you all and your constituents, pass along the messages of two big things that have been coming into the office recently. Number one, and we were in Brigantine today with some seniors talking about it. A lot of questions with regards to senior freeze, the upcoming anchor for this year, and the potential of state New Jersey property tax relief. I just want you guys to be aware that there is a single combined application this year. It's called the PAS-1. That is available on the State Treasury website at this time. Even with not knowing about what's going to go on with the state of New Jersey or the time frame for the anchor payments, residents are being advised to fill those out, present them, provide them back to the Treasury at this point. If anybody's got any questions, please, as always, direct them back to us. But I wanted to make sure that you were all aware so you could pass along to your communities. One single application, because we're getting a lot of seniors who are calling looking for their blue books, and they're not necessarily coming this year. So it's going to be that one combined. And then secondly, and this seems to be coming as we get closer and closer to the May date, there's a lot of residents who are looking to upgrade their New Jersey driver's licenses to real IDs. And there isn't a single appointment available for 3 months on the state of New Jersey's website. They are going to start. We just posted on our social media today for the Senator Vince Policina page about the state opening up what they're calling a Real ID Thursday, trying to move as many locations to host the Real ID transactions as possible. In addition, you're starting to see more mobile units come available. We are in the process of scheduling a mobile unit to be positioned at our legislative office, hopefully as early as May, because that's the most early appointments, right around the same time as the deadline for the ID transfers. And just in case you're not familiar, the TSA this year, they've been putting it off for some period of time, but this year they're going to be moving to either a real ID, level ID to fly, or obviously an equivalent or greater, which would be your passport. So either if you're looking for help on the state level ID, feel free to call us. If you're looking for help on the federal ID, happy to call us as well. I'll just direct you to the congressman's office. So I just want to make sure those were two big questions we've gotten. And I swear I planned to do this before I knew the boss was going to be there.
I just want to compliment, while your boss is in the room, you, Joe, because I send so many people to you on Anchor. Number one, you help every single one of them and talk to each of them and make them feel heard and resolve their issue. But the multitude of other little stuff we send you all the time, you never miss a beat. And you are such an asset to the constituency here, and just want to say thank you.
I appreciate that very
and
much.
thank you,
Happy to.
Vince, for hiring Joe, because he's amazing. He really is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I was really
I'm
honestly
sorry.
going to say the same
Sorry,
exact thing,
Chairman.
because I've reached out to Joe numerous times, and he's like immediately with the response, he
Always.
just gets in touch with the constituent. Again, tremendous job and effort, and thank you so much. And everything that's shared on social media, the information shared with us, appreciate that, because there's so many people that are looking like, where do I go for information? It seems like there's like a like a dearth of information that's out there, especially some of the seniors that you met with in Brigantine. So thank you for coming to these meetings, updating us on these events and this information. And I'm sure, I know I will, I'm sure others will share it on their socials and try to get the word out there to help our mutual constituents. So thank you.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you all for
Thank
the
you.
time.
All right. Is there anybody online for public comment? All right, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to close
Was-
public comment.
Did he have somebody? Did you?
No.
Forget about
I
it?
just
Okay.
checked. We're good,
Move.
right? Online? All right, a motion to close public comment?
Move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Any comments for the good of the order?
Go to the order, Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Gatto.
Again, while we have our senator here, I was actually going to reach out this week. Very tragic situation this week. I got a call. I think many people know I officiate weddings, and I got a call for somebody who was in the hospital and had gotten a pretty dire diagnosis and had been with his partner, woman, for over 30 years. They had children together. They just had never gotten married. And his dying wish was to get married. And he literally, it was a very critical situation, and he had days. So I called everyone I could think of to try to get a registrar to go to the hospital and do a marriage license and start the 72-hour clock that you have to wait. And understandably, nobody goes to the hospital or the jail. There's a lot of risk with that. I can totally understand that. But there needs to be some kind of exceptions. The person was of very sound mind. His body was just giving out. And I called several lawyers to figure out, is there anything that we could do? And it just, time ran out, and he passed on Friday. And so I would love to work with your office to sponsor some kind of legislative change that would either enable remote license application for, a criteria of scenarios, or would, come up with some other kind of option, or allow a hospital to have an in-house registrar potentially. Just some things that cross my mind. The 72-hour situation, we could talk about exceptions for that. I understand the need for that, but again, my heart just broke that I couldn't do anything about it, and it's something I would really love to see if we could advance some change for, really a really sad circumstance.
Certainly.
Yeah.
So thanks, Commissioner. It is unfortunate, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Joe's here and you just said great things about him. So
He
we'll be
was
going to
who
the
I
Office of
was-
Legislative Services
He's who I was gonna call anyway.
to figure it out. And we usually get a draft back in, a week, 2 weeks at most. So
Yeah.
we'll certainly discuss it
Yeah.
with you and share a draft with you and we'll get something done.
Yeah, if any other legal minds in the room have any ideas, I'm looking at all the lawyers in here. Mike, open to any thoughts anybody might have. Thanks, Chairman.
All right, no, of course, thank you. Anything else for the good of the order? All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting's adjourned.